Welcome to Graphite AR. In this demo, I'm going to show you some of the exporting functionality of the app. We're going to build a simple scale model of some furniture and export it to Blender for some photorealistic rendering. And we'll also take another export out to a 3D printer and see how that looks. Okay, so let's get started. As in any session with Graphite AR, you want to move your phone around so that it can get a sense of your environment and all of the real surfaces that you want to work with. When you start, typically your cursor will look like this, and then once it finds a surface, it will snap to it like this. Okay, you can sort of move your phone around and just reassure yourself that it is in fact snapped to this surface and not some other surface. Okay. So the next thing we want to do is we want to use the grid functionality. We'll select the grid, and you'll notice how the grid follows the cursor like this. And we're going to find a place on the table where we'd like to place the grid. Grid is about a meter wide, and as you get closer, you sort of obviously the grid gets bigger because it's pinned to the table. So let's fix it in place. Select the pin tool there, and it'll be pinned right there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to find a spot here in the middle of the table, and we're going to draw a scale model of an armchair for reading. And then we're going to draw a lamp next to it. So let's start by, we're going to use the box tool on the left-hand side and tap the draw button. And we're going to pull the cursor over like this. I'm going to tap again and pull it down like this. You can tilt your phone or you can just move it back and forth, and that'll move your cursor. And what we want to do is, let's see, we've got about a 5 by 5 square here, and we want to just bring it back by 1, so it's a little off from square, so it's just a fat rectangle. And let's bring it up about 1 grid unit like so, and that'll be the base cushion of the chair. Okay, now let's do the armrests. I'm snapping here. I'm going to keep the same tool. I'm going to tap once on the draw button, tap again, and find just sort of eyeball about one grid line width there. I'm going to pull the armrest of the chair up about so high, and we're going to do the same thing on this side. Tap, tap, pull it across, tap, and bring it up. Now you notice when we're extruding, the block moves smoothly. It's not snapping to anything right now. That's because when you're extruding, snapping is temporarily turned off. But what we'd like to do is we'd like this armrest to obviously be exactly the same height as the other one. So let's tap snapping and turn it back on and pick a point on the other armrest that it can snap to. And we're going to tap the draw button again to finish our drawing. There we go. So we got 2 armrests, and they are exactly the same height. Great. Now, let's draw the backrest. Let's find this point over here, and this point over here, and we're going to pull the base of it across roughly 1 grid line wide. Tap again, and pull it up high. So at this point, you can sort of play with a different size of backrest. How high do you want it? I think what we'd like to do is I'm going to use the old snapping trick. Click snapping, and I'm going to make it the same height as the armrests. Kind of a classic cube-shaped seating arrangement. Cool. All right. Next up, we're going to draw a reading lamp. So we're going to make the base of this reading lamp. It's going to be a pretty big reading lamp, but we want a heavy base to it. So we're going to click once and twice, make a nice square there. We could let's see, we could turn snapping on and make it a base about yay high. But sometimes it's nice to have things slightly different, slightly off. So let's tap it about there, and turn snapping back on again. And now we're going to build the column that so you'll notice that snapping happens at a certain distance, and if that's too coarse for you and you want to get in closer, you want it to not snap so broadly from the point. You could just move your camera in, move your device in, and you'll notice that you can get much closer. Okay, and that's sort of how you control snapping. So let's. I'm going to make the base of this, or the column for this large lamp about half a grid line's width. I'm going to bring it up here. You can imagine someone sitting there. Let's make it about yay high. Okay. And snapping is still on, so let's do another one snap there, one snap there. And let's pick another. There we go. That's a point right there. Very nice. This is snapping on again. So let's see. Now we could draw the lamp all the way across like this, but I think that's a little much. Bring it back here maybe. That's also a little much. So, and that's a little too short. So I think I'm going to turn snapping off, and I'm going to bring it out about there, just eyeballing it. And now we have a nice kind of lamp and seating area. It's a pretty hefty lamp, but I don't know, it could be all right. Cool, and there's a little nook right there which serves as a coffee table. I like it. Let's go with this. Okay, so at this point I can turn off the grid and have a look at the model as it is right now from different angles. I can look at it like this. I can go to the background setting, the AR setting, and I can switch it to a bright background. See what that looks like. I could also make it completely dark and just sort of look at the model on its own. But I like this dim setting, so let's go back to that. All right, fine. The model's good. Let's keep it. Let's go with it. Let's go to the side menu here and click Export. And now let's export all these formats. And I'm going to pick my laptop nearby, and it's going to drop all of those files to my laptop by AirDrop. And at this point, we're done in Graphite AR. We're going to switch to my laptop for the next phase of the demo.
So here we are in Blender, and I'm going ahead and importing the Collada file, the .dae file. And you can see the model is there, and I'm moving it around. I've sped up the video, obviously, moving it around, bringing it back to origin, creating a ground plane, playing with some view settings and setting up the renderer. So we have a nice radiosity rendering in Blender. It's called Cycles. I'm just setting up some lighting and coloring the ground and adjusting some settings, and I'm going to set some materials on the model here, make it a sort of a glossy black leather seat, and I'm going to make the lamp a kind of a brushed aluminum metallic object. There we go. And placing the lamp, just adjusting the color gradient of the color temperature of the lamp, and then setting up the camera for rendering. And here we go, creating the high quality render from the model that we've imported from Graphite AR, and exporting that. We can save it as a JPEG somewhere. So there it is. That's rendering. And here's 3D printing. We took the same file, or a similar file exported from Graphite AR. In this case, it's an STL file, and we dropped it into our 3D printer. And here it is, building out the model. Cool. Hit subscribe to stay up to date and go to graphite.ar to try out the app.